Hello everyone. So now we are going to discuss about function of network component. So here we have some overview, but we are going to discuss about in detail like router we are going to use, switch we are going to use. So some component, even if we have high level, we are going to discuss in more detail. So first we will see router. What is router? Why we need router? So I will give you some scenario, small example, so you will have more idea. See here, first of all we can say router is a device which is used to make the communication between two or more network. So we will do IP address. When we do the IP address, you will have more detail about the same network, different network. Now I will give you some example, so you will have at least some idea. Later we are going to discuss in detail about the IP address. We have separate section for IP address. After this class we are going to discuss that one. Means today we will discuss about the some devices. After that we are going to do that. So let me discuss that one. So what I am saying, yesterday we taken one example of two computer just to make the communication. So if you see here, imagine I have one computer here. This is a PC1, I can say I have another PC. This is a PC2. This is the two computer. This is simple example we are using PC1 and PC2. We can say what I done, I taken the Ethernet cable, I connected this two computer. So what I am doing here, this is a simple example. I have two computer. I am calling the name as PC1 and PC2. This computer I am giving the IP address 192.168.1.1. And example here I am using the 192.168.1.2. Both are in the same subnet, so they can communicate. Both are in the same subnet, so they can communicate, no issue. But the problem here, if they are in different subnet, then they cannot communicate. So in that scenario we are going to use the router. How we know they are in the same subnet or different subnet? So when we have the IP address knowledge, that time easily you can track. But anyhow, I will give you overview so you can at least understand this one. See here, this one is /24. This is a class C IP address. We are using class C IP address. /24 we are writing. So in the class C, when we go for class C IP address, we have three network portion. We have one host portion. This one we need to remember. Wherever you have N, that is nothing but 255 we can say. And wherever you have H, that is nothing but 0. N is a network portion, we can say. H is a host portion, that is nothing but computer, and we have 0 there. So if you want to represent this one, how we can represent? Wherever you have N, you will write 255. So we can say 255.255.255.0, like this we can write. Okay, so this is the subnet mask of a class C. Later we are going to discuss in detail. Now just I want to show you why we are using router. To understand that one, I am explaining this one, then we will go for the router. So here what I can say, I am having the class C IP, that is 192.168.1.1/24. This one we can write as a /24 also. Why we are writing /24? Because each block is having 8 bit. So we will say this is 8, this is 8, this is 8. When we add 8 plus 8 is 16, 16 plus 8 is a 24. So that's why we will write /24. So this is a subnet mask we are calling as a CIDR. Later we are going to discuss when we go for the subnetting. Now just remember, if you want to represent subnet mask, we can write 255.255.255.0 or /24 for class C IP. So whenever we are using the class C IP, this is a subnet mask we are going to use. We can write this format or we can write /24. What about A, B? we are going to discuss when we go for the IP address. Now I am using this IP schema in this lab, that's why I am explaining about this one. Okay, so now here what you need to understand, whenever we are considering any IP, we need to check if the N path is same for both the IP. Then we can say same subnet. If you see here, I told PC1 is having this IP, PC2 is having this IP. So I am saying both are in the same subnet. So if you see here, this is /24 and the IP is 192.168.1.1. /24 we told 3 network portions. So we can say this is a network, this is network, this is network, this is host. So whenever we want to check if they are in the same subnet or different subnet, we need to check. What we need to check? We need to check network portion of that both IP should be same. If you see here 192.168.1. Here if we write this is network, this is network, this is network, this is host. Host no need to have same, only network portion should be same. So if you see here 192.168.1.1, 192.168.1.2. If you observe carefully, N path is same both the side. So if the network portion is same for the both IP, then we can say same subnet. Then these two PC can communicate. No issue, these two PC can communicate. Example, instead of this one, if I have two here, instead of one, if I have two here, then we will have the issue. What issue we will have? You can say network portion is changed. How I can say? You can see here, this is N, this one is 192. Here is N 192, both are same, okay, good. Second portion 168, here also 168, both are same, good. Third portion here is 1, here is 2. So they are not in the same network. If they are not in the same network or same subnet, we can say, then these two PC cannot communicate. How we can define? We can say if two devices connected directly and they don't have the same subnet, then they cannot communicate. So what we can do to make the communication between these two network? We need to use router. So what we can say? Router I am going to use here. I am going to assign the IP from the same subnet. Example, for this PC we are using this IP. So this interface of the router we are going to assign here 192.168.1. any IP. 1.1 we use here, so I can write 1.2 here. So this is the interface IP. We can say fast Ethernet 0/0. And here we can assign the same subnet here. So here I can give the IP 192.168.2.1 because 2.2 we use here. And here you can say this is a fast Ethernet 0/1. So the packet will go from this PC to here, then router will allow, it will come here, it will go here. So now these two PC before cannot communicate because we have the different subnet. They are connected with different subnet. So we use router to make the communication between different subnets. So what we can say, first point, router is a device which is used to make the communication between two different networks. Okay, so we can define this is a one point. This is an example. Why I go here from the basic scratch? Just to explain you. Later when we go to the IP address class, we are going to discuss in detail about class A, class B, class C. Now in this example, I am using the class C IP. So what I done, I explain only about the class C IP address. Later when we go for class A, class B, we are going to discuss about the different IP address. Okay, so now we can say this is the example of router. Why we use router to make the communication between different network. And also we need to remember, if you remember OSI model we have, CISCO removed this one from the CCNA syllabus, but we are going to cover because this is a basic, this is a conceptual model, we need to understand this one. CISCO removed, now we don't have in our syllabus, but we are going to discuss this one after some time or maybe next class. So OSI model. So this model is having 7 layer. So now we need to remember router is working on layer 3. So we need to remember router is a device which is used to make the communication between two different network, and it is working on layer 3 of OSI model. We can say it is working on layer 3 of OSI model.